Renewable energy, clean transportation, energy storage, they've become priorities, haven't they? And this power sector has
которые отличаются
中国宏观经济研究院战略政策室主任盛朝迅向高技术将催生更多新产业、新模式、新动能。
民营企业作为我国科技创新的重要力量，通过布局新领域、新赛道，有助于推动科技创新和产业创新深度融合，催生新产业。
Well, so yeah, these companies are not only existing or catering to clients here in China, it's a global initiative.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too, because we see that globalization is now a key factor for a lot of the hidden champions, Chinese or not, to participate in such global economy and also take part in combating global challenges altogether. And according to Herman Simon's study, that's quoting from his book, Hidden Champions of the 21st Century, these SMEs in China tend to follow a three-stage development for entering international markets. And take the specialized and new SMEs in the green sector as an example. The first step they're stepping out is on exporting, because among the top 100 green hidden champion enterprises analyzed by the Southern Weekly, 28 listed companies generated an average of nearly 13% of their revenue from exports in 2023, and that's slightly higher than the A-share market average of around 12%. And some companies, such as ArcTech, achieved export ratios that's exceeding 50%. And now that we're looking at the exporting volume, let's take a brief look at the Little Giant enterprises, because in 2024 alone, China's Little Giant enterprises saw a slightly over 12% year-on-year increase in exports. And the exported integrated circuits and medical devices had reached up to over 25%, while the exported motor vehicles and parts had reached up to over 11%. And also the volume of exports to different countries has been shown increase as well, to ASEAN countries, to the EU, to the US, with exports to ASEAN surged by 30.3%. That's highlighting strong foreign trade resilience and also growth potential as well. So they're actively trying to get into the international markets.
Well, this does show that, on the one hand, these companies, they have a strong advantage at home, considering China is a massive market. In many areas, it is the world's number 2 biggest market, if not the biggest market, depending on sector. So for Chinese companies, if you can really do well in your home market, that's fantastic. But we also know that in China, when competition tends to be fierce, years. And you've got so many people, super smart and hardworking people, devising up all kinds of marketing plans, promotional plans, and awesome products. There's a race to the bottom in a lot of things, including the margins. And it also gives rise to the phenomenon called involution. It not only happens in your workplace, but it also happens in industries as well. That is, there's this ruthless competition of different parties all trying to compete inwards, and then it's not the healthiest competition, to say the least, but for a way to break away from this kind of predicament, it's companies going abroad and conducting in exports. And still, even till today, despite the fact that we've talked about for years that China is trying to improve its consumption sector or whatnot, I think it's still important to face the fact that we're still very much depending on trade. And exports is paramount for so many sectors beyond just manufacturing as well.
Yeah.
And you can see in these little giants.
Yeah, and for all the reasons that you just said, this could be the reason that they tend to adopt an international strategy from the beginning. 14 of the 100 leading green hidden champions, they've established 34 overseas subsidiaries or representative offices or R&D centers. And when you compare that to the German benchmark of 9.6 subsidiaries per company, Chinese firms still have room to expand, but when they have that strategy from the get-go, Young, for the reasons you just mentioned, they're aware, aren't they, of the lethal competition levels that exist in the domestic market. So when they start, they know, or they have on their radar, this international strategy. And this, I think, helps the companies because it's not something, oftentimes a company will develop and then think, oh, maybe we should be expanding overseas. That might come 4 or 5 or 10 years later. But for these types of companies, these hidden giants, or mini giants, or whatever you want to call them, right from the beginning, that's the strategy. And specializing in these different industries, it prioritizes a large domestic market, yes, but it also prioritizes the international markets too.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we see that even though you mentioned earlier, Steve, that many of these little giants, not mini giants, by the way, they are...
I was confusing with hidden champions, wasn't I?
Well, many of them, they are, building subsidiaries all across the world. Establishing overseas factories, however, still remain the most challenging step for a lot of these enterprises. And the key... Malaysia, Japan, and including Canada.
Well, it's an interesting time to talk about trade, for sure. Yeah. Well, guys, what do you see? Why is this an important topic?
Just in general?
Yeah.
Well, I think that these companies deserve the recognition that they get.
这个笔纸不拿。
Tes adversaires. Mais ma meilleure ennemie, c'est toi. Fuis-moi. В темноте твоей узнавать шаги. Знаю, что обман твой милый.
Для радости и благополучия от продюсера Гульбахор Хасановой.
Счастливая жизнь. Жанарың ұрланса
Фишка мырға.
ветер ночной, стон заглушит.
Традиционная медицина. Пекинская опера. Модная музыка. Киноэкран. 主角大片啊！
我认为配合吧。
功夫。Не переключайтесь. Все самое интересное Здравствуйте, уважаемые слушатели! Вы слушаете программу «Путешествие по Китаю». В студии ведущая Мария. Дорогие друзья, сегодня я предлагаю посетить одно из красивейших мест китайской столицы – Юань-Музей. Старый столетний дворец Юань-Музей в Пекине – место необычное. Во время правления династии Шин он служил домом для императорской семьи. Там наследники трона проводили будни выходные, гуляли по чудесным садам, исполняли обряды и чтили обычаи, управляли страной. Для официальных приемов и встреч служил запретный город, где жили дворец Юань-Музей, название которого дословно с китайского переводится как «сад совершенной изящности». Создание резиденции началось при финском императоре